When Rabbi Bressler first came up with this idea of asking people to reflect a bit on what the stay-at-home order has meant to them, I thought it was a great idea. In fact, I still think it was a great idea with one exception, and that's when he asked me to also reflect a bit on what it's meant to me. It's been a challenge. It's been a challenge because I have the opportunity to work with two great organizations that are vibrant and yet very, very demanding. And so Margaret, several weeks ago, right after it started, made a comment which I think really explains it all. She told me that as soon as you started working at home, I see you a lot less than when you used to go to the office. There's a lot of things that I miss. I miss going to shul, I miss going to school, I miss teaching students when they're sitting across from me at a table. I miss my shiurim, and I miss the opportunity to interact with so many people. That's one of the great things that I get to do, is to hang out with a lot of wonderful people, whether they be balabatim, students, or just people in the community. I miss it. The last several weeks of Pesach have been bizarre, to say the least, but I'm not different than anyone else. The Seder, Margaret and I, as I mentioned in one of my drushas, it's been a long time since I sang the Manishtana. And since then, part of the real challenge has been trying to figure out what's next. Because I know something is next. And that next is going to be a moment of goodness when we're able to come together again. And yet, trying to anticipate when and how that's going to happen has been a real challenge. And so I've been privileged to be on calls with some of the senior rabbinic leadership in our community and to watch the unity and the heated discussions at times trying to come up with what's the best advice. I've also had the opportunity to try to anticipate things, and more often than not, I've gotten it wrong. This past Friday morning, I presented to the administrative staff at the academy different plans of how we were going to reopen the school gradually. I had this great idea that when we were allowed to do it with the appropriate kind of social distance, I'd make Mondays would be for freshmen and Tuesdays would be sophomores, Wednesdays, juniors, Thursdays, seniors. We'd have enough distance. It really sounded great, and I was expecting to do it until the meeting was over and the first news flash came across that the governor was going to close schools till the end of the year. It has been, though, I think one of the biggest challenges of trying to find new ways to communicate. And so there are more shiurim than we've ever given before on video, which I guess is one. But in this case, there have been more than 90 shiurim that we've broadcast. And there have been thousands of views on the KINS YouTube channel. There have been opportunities to create fun events. Just wait till you hear what we have planned for Shavuos, and that's coming out in a couple of weeks. There's the idea of brainstorming with Rabbi Bressler and just trying to imagine what we can do that's different, because the boundaries which normally bounded synagogues, the walls that created synagogues, are gone. And so people are able to look at all different kinds of things they never looked at, and just to have another shiur for the sake of having a shiur doesn't work, and another drasha for the sake of a drasha doesn't work. It has to be something special and something different, just like these opportunities. And then, of course, there's trying to find a little personal time in all of it. My day normally starts somewhere around 6 and normally ends now after 10, sometimes 11 or 12, which may not be longer than it was before, but is much more intense. I get to teach, I get to share ideas, and I even get to take a walk, hopefully every day, to walk outside a little bit, not only for exercise, but to remember that there's a world outside the bedroom that I find myself in, because this is a virtual background behind me. And so I could just as well choose to be outside of Ida Crown. I could choose my office at Ida Crown if I wanted it. And I have this great Yetzer Hara to just sometimes broadcast with this in the background. Maybe the place we'd all like to be, wherever this is, but with a lot of sun and something very, very different. But for the meantime, I'm going to stay in the sanctuary of KINS, look forward to the time we all get to be back together again. I won't have screaming children in the background because my grandchildren have been nearby, but I haven't been able to be in direct contact with them. We've been blessed with 3 grandchildren. since this time began, since we've been staying at home. One I've seen from a distance because they live across the street. And two I've seen from Zoom and participated in their brisson from Zoom as well. And we look forward to seeing them very soon. But in the meantime, I look forward to seeing all of you. And so even if a shear or another program may not be directly up your alley, what is come join us and come on a Zoom call so we can see each other a little bit. Reach out, send me an email, call. I'm going to try to call as much as I can, send as many emails as I can, and communicate it in as many ways as possible. We have a great community, and we have a great shul, and we have great opportunities. And while this has thrown us all for a loop, it's also taught us how resilient we can be, how creative we can be, and how much we really need our institutions and how much we miss them. So when we come back, we'll celebrate. And until we celebrate, let's stay in touch and let's keep the communication going. Stay strong, stay healthy, follow all the dictates the doctors recommend for us and the public health officials recommend for us, and stay connected.